Hi everyone, this is Marguerite. I have a journal that I have finished and I'm going to be starting a new project and wanted to go over some of the beginning with you. I have my Cracker journal, kind of journal of everything, art, scraps that is done. I'm finally declaring that this one is finished. And I enjoyed doing it so much that I would like to start a new one. And so that's what I'm going to be doing now. So as you can see here, I've used different size papers from different sources, and then on top of those just kind of collaged and add additional papers. More and more and more, layers and layers and layers of all kinds of things. Sometimes I did put some ribbon, but very rarely. I've got some book pages. Most of these things come from magazines. Sometimes I did a little bit of collaging, but most of the time it's just finding the appropriate place for scraps. Also, I did have some art pieces, places where I've cleaned off my brushes or rubber stamps, things like that. So I'm going to start a new book. I have a few ideas of what I want to do. I have some boxes that I'm thinking about. This one's very thick and would make really good cover for a journal. I also have some that are already cut down, so it would be a journal like this. These ones are a little thinner, so I would put additional pieces of cardstock lining these just to make them a little bit more thick. But I think I'm going to go with this one. I think this one is the best. So what I will do is I will cut one side and then keep three sides together. And I won't even need to line it because it's so heavy. It'll stand by itself. So for the insides, I have been setting aside paper. I got this in the mail just recently. It is a order catalog for Restoration Hardware, which is a company that sells furniture in addition to other things. I think they also have stores in shopping malls that they sell furniture and other home goods or things like that. The reason why I like this catalog is because it has the colors that I'm interested in, which are beige, cream, grays, and pretty much the catalog is all that. So, for example, look at this. This is a huge page without any text on it. There's some really interesting things. I can fold it this way or I can fold it this way, and there's always going to be something interesting on the page. Here is just a huge page of kind of abstract colors. So again, this would be really nice for a page. And what I mean by a page is I'm going to take pages and fold them in half to make them into signatures. Some are going to be full length and some are going to be smaller. So I want to have a kind of a mix of all kinds of things. These are thin. That's okay. That's all right. I'll work with that. It's not ideal, but I won't have, it won't be all this paper. It'll be a mix of other things. So I will use this. And then I found at the library this one. This is very strange. I've never heard of Esopus, but I might look it up on the internet because it looks pretty interesting. It's just a collection of art things. And there's some, look at this, kind of an interesting, I forgot the name of this paper. Interesting things in here. There's some photography. There's just, I don't even know how to explain it. Stuff folds out. So I'm just going to chop it up, and this is really cool. This folds out huge, just into a huge thing, so I can make some full-size pages out of that. And then there's some really neat hand-drawn maps and things like that. So I also have pieces of scraps. So anything and everything that is going to be a little bit larger size that I can fold in half and put into signatures is going to be good. So I will get started with that, cut things down. This measurement is 7 1/4 by 9. So that's the size I'm going to be going with for my covers. Okay, so here I have my 5 signatures. I have picked all different kinds of papers, gone through my stash of larger sized papers in addition to the magazines that I cut down. So I have, let me hold it this way actually. If I flip through it, you'll see that there is kind of a variety of different kinds of papers and even a variety of textures. Some thin or some thick. Sometimes I reinforced with washi tape just to make sure. I probably should do that on my magazine pages as well because these are pretty fragile. But I don't do it on all of them. Okay. There's another one. Sometimes I took pages and when I folded them slightly uneven so that one side was longer than the other. It's just kind of, I wanted things to be a little bit staggered, not everything be at the same height or at the same width. The height is pretty much all the same. I originally had 4 signatures, but then went to 5 because they were too thick. And I'm concerned is if I push through with a stapler and it doesn't go through because there's too much paper plus the width of the board for the spine. So I went to 5, and if I put them all together, this is what it looks like in here. So still quite a lot of space, which is what we want. I don't like to fill it so full with paper that there's not a whole lot of room to add, because that's the whole point of this project, for me anyway, is to keep on adding layers on top of the papers that we already chose. So if I press it down tight, this is what it looks like, but if I let it loose, that's more what it looks like. So I'm happy with this amount. 5 signatures that look like this. And then flat, it's gonna grow. Once you start adding things, it's gonna fatten up. So I drew lines in my spine so that I know where I'm going to staple things in. It just helps me a lot if I have a line. I will, hold it onto the mark as best as I can, and then staple it. So I'll show you that in a minute. But there's one other step that I wanted to talk about, and that is, now that I have these signatures done, before I set them into the covers, I want to think about if there's anything I want to add to these while I still have them loose before I go ahead and put them in. So do I want to do some rubber stamping? Do I want to do something with ink? Do I want to do something with stencils? Do I want to just kind of make something on these before I put them in? Or if you just want to put them in as is, that's fine too. I think I'm going to do a little bit of art on some of these. So let me go grab my paints and do a little bit. Alright, so I am back with my inks and some papers. I have these Delusions ink sprays. So what I am going to do is put a couple of colors, get these lined up, and see what happens. Now hopefully, I haven't used these in forever, hopefully these nozzles, oh yeah, they work. Hopefully they will work. I have some acrylic paint, and I'm just going to see if I can add some paint on top of these and see what happens. This looks just like a really interesting palette of colors. So, and even the ones that pooled a little bit, it doesn't look so bad. So this is very cool. I like this, definitely. So let me place these out of the way. Oh, if you want to see this one close up. It turned out all right, but I just see reds and grays and blacks. So let's see what else I can do here. All right, so I am done painting my signatures, the pages that I want, and I am stapling them into my covers. And before I do the stapling, what needs to be done is you need to draw lines on your spine to show where you're going to be putting in your signatures. So I have 5. This is an example of the spine that the same width. It's the same width as this, so I'm just using it as a model. I have 5 signatures, which means that I will need to draw 5 lines. And what I usually do is measure. In this case, I'm using a centimeter ruler because it's just easier than using inches. This is 7 centimeters across, so I know that I'm going to have one signature right down the middle, which means that it is a 3.5 centimeters that I would draw a line right down the middle perfectly, and then I would draw 2 more lines on the right and 2 more lines on the left, so that I would have a total of 5. So I would just, measure those out as best as I could, draw the line in pencil, and then here is my long arm stapler. And to put the pages in, you need to take one of your signatures, kind of quickly, this kind of got stuck together. There we go. Quickly have a glance through to make sure the pages are sitting in the way you want them to be. Move around any short pages up or down to make sure they're in the right spot. Take something like a paper clip. You can also use these guys, something like that, if you want. Here I'm just going to use a paper clip to hold them together more or less. And then staple them in. I've already done 4 signatures in here, and I'm going to put in the last one. So here you can see my line. Yeah, there's the pencil line there, right here. That's what I'm going to line up the crease onto, and I will move the camera so that you can see better. Okay, so I'm going to line up my crease onto that line as best I can. Make sure that the pages are balanced on the top and on the bottom as well. And then take my long arm stapler. I hold it down a portion of the way, double check that it's in the right position, readjust if I need to, and I'm going to slightly move it down. So I'll line up my pages as best as I can. Pre-press. And staple. Okay. Alright, so now my pages are in. This is all of them. I'm going to gently press to make sure that the pages are going to lie flat, and I'll do it on both sides. Okay, and that is it. So my book is in, and now it's ready for me to decorate. So if I'll show it to you this way, you'll see that it is really flat, and that's okay because it is going to fill up once I start adding more papers to it. So don't be alarmed if you think, oh my gosh, I could have put a whole lot more paper in here. It's actually better if you start out this way. Again, this one started out the same, and I filled it up with all kinds of manners of paper. And I'm going to do the same with this one. So that's the end of this video, and I will do another follow-up with how I am adding pages to it as I start to think of some ideas and come up with a plan of what I'm going to use it for. So until then, thanks for watching.